In this, I'm going to talk about the N8N, the automation architect blueprint from foundation nodes to orchestrating multi-agent workflow, a visual guide for DevOps data in a product team. Beyond Zapier, an extensible orchestration engine, APIs, and a book. So what is the N8N core? It is basically a AI model. It has a local infrastructure, it has an enterprise app, it has an API and a webhook. So AI model is like a built-in primitive for multi-agent routing and RAG. It has a local infrastructure, cloud hosted or fully self-hosted behind your firewall. It has an enterprise app which is like a native JavaScript and a JSON manipulation. It has a visual low-code UI map logic visually execute instantaneously. So what is the primitive anatomy of a node? You have a payload in, you have an action and transformation, you have a payload out, becomes next node's input. So 5 code data types: strings, hello world, numbers, 42, 3.4, booleans is a true false, array is a 1 2, object is name, and the format is JSON. Static versus dynamic, the power of expression. Static, please send an email, fixed value, always execute the exact same string. Dynamic expression, JSON.chat input expression. JavaScript adapts to real-time inputs by pulling variable from earlier nodes. Takeaway, expression transforms linear scripts into reactive constructual signal. Blueprint Navy, architecture of an AI agent. Agent hub, the decider, orchestrate and determine action based on input. The tools, actionable limbs, Gmail, web scraper, the memory, context window, simpler vector. The brain LLM, large model for reasoning and planning. The agent receives the trigger, evaluates context via memory, leverage its LM brain to decide if a tool is required, executes the action and outputs an intelligent response. System memory, context with what is the mechanism? Simple context memory injects past into messages directly into the prompt. Vector and RAG memory converts document to embedding, performs semantic search. State, stateful, remembers immediate conversation. Stateless, pulls relevant data regardless of conversation history. Simple context memory, ideal use case, chatbot, conversation continuity. Vector or RAG memory is an enterprise knowledge base, customer support FAQ. Simple context memory, data source, temporary chat session. Vector or RAG memory, persistent database, pin core quadrant. Blueprint, the daily AI researcher, trigger schedule 9 a.m. Perplexity node searches last 24-hour AI news, OpenAI agent formatter, Gmail output, Google say. The deduplication loop, why the loop? The OpenAI agent cross-reference the fetch news against the Google sheet of past logs before sending the email. This architecture choice prevents repeating yesterday's headline. Blueprint 2, the autonomous Slack colleague, an AI that monitors DMs and replies as you cross-referencing live project documents. Slack trigger watches entire workspace. GPT-5 agent Slack output send as a user. Google Doc Rack tools project status. Technical call out. Security and a scope. To impersonate a human seamlessly, you must bypass standard bot tokens. Configure Slack auth with user token scope. Chat, write, customize, and users read. Master key, the HTTP request mode. Anatomy of an HTTP request method, post or endpoint URL or a body JSON. If an app lacks an official N8N integration, the HTTP node combined with a curl import unlocks the entire web. The authentication vault. Prod tips, abstract authentication away from the node level. Use N8 credential manager to prevent hard coding sensitive keys into HTTP bodies, header auth APIs keys, auth to GCP callback. Building resilient system, the async wait loop, the post request, initiate request. You have a wait node which is like a 15-second delay. You have a get request which is kind of a checking a status. If node status is equal to complete, it is true, you have an output payload, and if it is a false, it goes to the wait node. Long running third party tasks like video generation or large scraps will time out and clear linear workflow. The wait and if loop forces the system to poll the API continuously until the payload is ready. Blueprint 3, multi-model generation engine, synthesizing LLM complex API orchestration and resilient to generate high fidelity video on demand. Telegram trigger input idea, OpenAI agent expense prompt, HTTP post videos, the async wait loops. Telegram output deliver MP4. Technical details requires passing the specific request ID generated by the post request into the get request by a dynamic expression. Scaling complexity, sub workflow, start trigger, execute subflow, end workflow. Start workflow, this is question. You have an API request, you have an API request, you have a wait request, wait. Data process, data passing metric, accept all data, pushes the entire JSON payload into the sub workflow. Good for simple chain. Define full strict schema enforcement, only passes exact required parameter. Example, just the image or a sub workflows, isolate logic, simplify debugging, and turn complex process into reusable modular enterprise component. The deployment mastery, hosting architecture, N8 and cloud, zero maintenance, instant update, official support, trade-off, monthly subscription, less infrastructure control, best for rapid scaling and intermediate ROI. Self-hosted, Docker/local, total freedom, zero subscription cost, ability to run local LM trade-off, you manage updates and uptime, best for isolated testing, data privacy, running local models, AWS EC2 or enterprise VM, full network control, enterprise security, custom storage, limit trade-off required, DevSecOps maintenance, best for production enterprise deployment, security and a cost control, wallet management, never hard code keys, store auth callbacks and API header auth in an N8 secure credential manager, abstract key away from the visual modes, preventing accidental exposure in scripts or sharing. Pinning data API calls cost money. By pinning successful test payload directly to nodes during the build phase, you prevent the workflow from burning the live credits on every subsequent test execution. The automation mindset. Automation is no longer just a buzzword. It is about orchestrating system, extending the reach of AI, and freeing yourself from the mechanical to focus on the build modularity, test locally, scale globally.